You're listening to Lace Up with your host, VJ Johnson II. Grab your tennis shoes, get your cleats, because it's time to lace up. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Lace Up. I'm your host, VJ Johnson II, ready to give you the latest, hottest news and updates in the world of sports. I appreciate everybody jumping in and joining the podcast and giving me a little bit of your time to talk some good, healthy sports talk as always. And I hope everybody's had a great week. Look, we know what today is, man. It's Halloween, so I'm rocking my orange, man. I got my 1920s Chicago Bears hat, and I got my orange Chicago Bears shirt on, man, my dry fit. So happy Halloween, man, to all those who celebrated. Excited to step out tonight and enjoy the festivities. I hope you all do the same and have a great time. Trick or treat, man. It's getting chilly out here, man, so make sure you guys bundle up. But, man, like I said, man, I hope everybody's had a great week. And, look, I'm excited to jump in today to talk about what's been going on in the sports world, because we got a lot to catch up on. I'm going to tell you guys a funny story real quickly before we jump into our topics and everything. I actually was supposed to have an episode posted last week. Now, I went through and actually recorded an entire episode. It was about 45 minutes long. Went to go and edit the episode only to find out that none of the audio on my microphone actually caught my voice. So that was a episode that did not have any audio, so I could not post it here on YouTube, and I definitely didn't want to post it on the podcast page, because I did make references to the YouTube video. So yeah, y'all, that was a rough day for me. I had two other things that happened. I was just like, you know what, this is just not my day, so we'll just try this again another day. But here I am. Like I said, man, things happen, but we pivot, we keep pressing forward. And so again, here we are, man, excited to talk about some sports. So I want to kick off things, man, and talk about the NBA, because the NBA did tip off. Didn't get a chance to talk about that since the episode didn't record, but did want to talk about that, how that officially tipped off. And I actually liked how they brought the NBA back with NBC this year. As we all know, NBC is historically, that was a big network that was involved with the NBA, especially back in the 90s, man, and before that. But I'm glad to see that the NBA did bring it back the right way, utilizing NBC, and you got a chance to see kind of they NBC does it a lot differently, where they would do like a little like flashes in the past of like the great players, legends, and then they incorporate the new superstars now. So I just like how they put that together, and it was good to see that, and just kind of brought me back to when I was a kid watching the NBA. And I'll also, shout out to ESPN, man. It was also good to see Shaq, Charles Barkley, Ernie Williams and Kenny, back in the booth together. We know that they're not on TNT anymore, but they are still together, except on ESPN right now. So they're still on the same in the same studio, I should say, but they are no longer with TNT. Again, that contract ended at the end of last season. So I'm excited to see those guys together again, because that's one of my favorite sports shows to watch, especially late at night after the games on Tuesday, or whenever those guys will be on. Just listening to the commentary, how much fun those guys have, and it's just great to see that and get some insight from some legends in the game, and looking forward to following them this season and listening to the content as always. Shout out to the undefeated teams in the NBA right now. We are about 4 or 5 games in right now. Today is going to be a lot of people's tonight, I should say, will be a lot of people's 5th game. But shout out to the undefeated teams, man. You got The Oklahoma City Thunder, they had a big win on opening night against the Houston Rockets in there. That was their ring ceremony and then the unveiling of their championship banners. You got my Chicago Bulls, man. We rocking and rolling, man. 4-0. Shout out to my Bulls, man. We take on the New York Knicks tonight, and they're doing like the little in-season tournament, which is pretty wild that they do this so early. But they're doing the in-season tournament, and we take on the Knicks tonight. But shout out to my Bulls, man. 4-0, looking great. Shout out to the 76ers and then the San Antonio Spurs, man. So those are your currently your 4 undefeated teams. We'll see how that shakes up tonight after the games take place. But I am excited to see that my Bulls are starting off strong. And looking at the San Antonio Spurs, man, Victor Wembanyama, aka Wemby, dude is a beast, man. I mean, this dude is a beast. If he can stay healthy, the stuff that he is doing right now on the court, he's unstoppable. I mean, he's even had Shaquille O'Neal come out and say that he's a dominant. Anytime you get an endorsement from Shaq, Diesel, like that's huge, man. And seeing what Wemby's able to do at his size, it's hard to coach against that. It's hard to defend that. It's hard to adjust to that because just when you think you have him figured out, man, he pulls something else out of his bag. So, I mean, dude is a giant, and he's he's going to be a great player in this league, and a lot of people already have him in that superstar status, which give that some time. But he's definitely, it was definitely worth the number 1 pick. So shout out to the Spurs putting themselves into position to get him. I wanted to quickly run down some of these stat lines that we've had so far in the season, because we've had some wild stat lines this early in the year. And so again, just want to run those down real quickly for you guys, just so you can hear about how crazy these numbers are. So we had SGA so far. He had a game, 55 points, 8 rebounds, 5 assists. We had Aaron Gordon, 50 points, 8 rebounds, 10 of 11 from the 3-point line. Luka Doncic, he had a game with 43 points, 12 rebounds, and 9 assists. Steph Curry, a game where he had 42 points, 7 assists, and 6 3-pointers made. That's not a surprise. As we all know, Steph Curry is lethal from the 3-point line. Ant-Man, he had 41 points, 7 rebounds, and he had 5 3-pointers that were made. Wemby, like I mentioned, man, 40 points, 15 rebounds, and 3 blocks. And I want to say that was in the first game of the season, if I'm not mistaken. It was against the Dallas Mavericks. So, look, already exerting his dominance first game of the season. Tyrese Maxey, 40 points, 6 assists, 7 of 9 from the 3-point line. Giannis, 37 points, 14 rebounds, 5 assists. And you had Sengun. Now Sengun is a player on the Houston Rockets, and if you have not seen him play, man, I encourage you to check this guy out. He's a beast, man. I was checking out the first game of the season against OKC, and they were on the road. The game actually went into double overtime, and Kevin Durant actually almost pulled a Chris Webber. Well, he actually did pull a Chris Webber, called timeouts. A timeout when Houston didn't have a timeout, but they were not awarded the timeout, so they actually ended up continuing to play. So they couldn't go back and revert and award the timeout when they didn't call it in regulation. But again, back to the point, Sengun in that game, 39 points, 11 rebounds, 7 assists, like monster game for the first game of the season. And then this is became one of my favorite players. And you'll know after I say his name, VJ Edgecombe, man. 34.7 rebounds, man. VJ Edgecombe. I'd never heard of this guy. I think he, if I'm not mistaken, he went to Baylor. I will fact check that, but if I'm not mistaken, I think he went to Baylor. But when I heard his name, I said, man, VJ. I'm like, look, that's a great name right there. So that's my guy. And matter of fact, let me while we're on that point, I want to make sure I'm correct. So Let me go ahead and fact check that while I'm on the topic. So I just want to make sure, again, I want to make sure that I have my facts correct. So if I'm wrong, I will correct that. And I am right. He actually went to Baylor. So uh, look, Baylor Bears, again, VJ Edgecombe. I'm glad that I was right about that. But even if I wasn't, that's okay. Look, we podcasters and analysts, everybody makes a mistake here and there. So wouldn't have been any shame in my game. But again, those are the stat lines, man. That was just 3 days into the NBA. Now we're 5 games in at this point after tonight, but as you can see, man, the NBA is starting off with a bang. Now, I wanted to keep things in the NBA because we had some crazy news go down that I really wanted to unpack with Chauncey Billups and Terry Rozier. And there's more players involved, but these two guys were arrested in gambling investigations, I should say. And so really want to unpack that. But before we get into that, man, you are listening to the Lace Up Podcast Show right here on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Audio Boom, and now on YouTube, man. You can see me as I am looking directly in this camera right now, man. Again, this is a new wave right now. Now on YouTube, I'm excited. If you don't mind, man, make sure you hit that subscribe button below. Subscribe to the show so you are updated and aware of when new episodes are posted whenever I go live. Make sure you tell a friend and tell a friend, man. I appreciate, again, all the love and support that you all have been showing me up until this point, and excited about this journey to continue with you guys. But with that, man, let's jump back into it because, again, like I mentioned, man, the Portland Trailblazers coach Chauncey Billups and Miami Heat guard Terry Rozier, they were arrested along with former Cleveland Cavaliers player Damon Jones. He's an assistant coach right now. They were a part of this wide range of investigations that was going on by the FBI into some illegal sports betting and some rigged poker games backed by the mafia. So look, this is they say the mafia is involved. I haven't seen anybody from the mafia being posted, but which is kind of odd. But nevertheless, this is serious, right? Anytime the FBI is involved, this is extremely serious. Now, I'm going to jump into this and unpack it even more, but just to kind of give you guys some insight, I know the NBA was this was brought to the attention of Adam Silver a while back, and apparently the NBA did their own investigation, and they did not find anything. And so the FBI continued to investigate this, and they actually did find something. So that raises the question of, what else do we need to look into? And they're obviously asking to speak to Adam Silver as well, because look, how were you not able to find, this out? What kind of investigation did you conduct? Did you conduct this investigation and find out some information and withhold it from the FBI and legal authorities? So there's a lot going on with that, but just want to kind of give you guys that lay of the land as we're running down what's going on with this situation. So now a total of 34 people that were arrested as a result of this year-long investigation, right? So this actually covers 11 states and involved tens and millions of dollars. Now the FBI director, Kosh Patel, he actually came out and said, look, law enforcement officials that multiple charges involved 4 mafia families and organized crime networks. He also said that the fraud is mind-boggling. So that's just goes to show you that there's a lot out there that we have not been that has not been revealed to us that is still ongoing. So Rozier, he was arrested in Orlando, Florida. He was accused of participating, in the illegal sports betting. And then he also, was, there was some video with Terry Rozier, and I encourage you guys to go look. There was a game, and this goes back between, so this dates back between March 2023 and March 2024. So there was a video of Terry Rozier in a basketball game, and he has the ball in his hand, and he just like slips and fall and turns the ball over, or he looks directly at the opposing team and throws the ball directly to him, and you could tell he's taking like these weird like floaters and missing them on purpose. You could tell he's intentionally like shaving points, and so you cannot you can't deny that. After I saw that, I said, "There's no way, man. You can't deny that." So again, there was a part of this. The scheme. There's gamblers. They use non-public information to bet on at least 7 NBA games. Again, like I said, between March 2023 and March 2024. Now, the teams that are involved within this investigation are the Charlotte Hornets, the Orlando Magic, the Trailblazers, the Los Angeles Lakers, and the Toronto Raptors. Excuse me. And the game that I just mentioned with Terry Rozier turning the ball over and just doing some crazy stuff. That game was actually against the Charlotte Hornets, if I'm not mistaken. So there's some question marks there that need to be answered. So in 3 of these 7 games, players intentionally removed themselves from contests to benefit from the gamblers' bets. Now, going and fast forwarding on the other side of things to talk about Chauncey Billups. So he's a part of a separate indictment. So his indictment involves the poker games, okay? So that they say are backed by the 4 mafia families. Now, Chauncey Billups is actually accused of utilizing technology to rig the poker games, right? So there's these shades apparently that they can see, see the cards and all this stuff like that. Some other stuff that's under the table, and he utilizes technology to steal millions of dollars from victims in the New York area. Also, he wasn't named in the sports betting indictment. But he is described as a co-conspirator who, allegedly he told a bettor that a number of the Trailblazers players would miss March 2023 game. And so that gave them an advantage when it came to the sports betting. So again, both Billups and Rozier, they have been indicted on these charges of wire fraud conspiracy and money laundering conspiracy. So again, a lot that's going on. And last but not least, man, before I give my opinion on this and my thoughts, the assistant U.S. attorney, Diane Hugh, she says that, look, each count carries no more than 20 years in prison. So, man, what an idiotic, thing to do as a former, legend in Chauncey Billups and, a guy, like Terry Rozier, who has been a successful player in the league. But you just, you wonder looking at Terry Rozier, what happened to his career, because Terry Rozier was nice. I mean, he really was nice. And I remember when he was with the Celtics, and he just fell off. And you had to wonder, like, what happened with Terry Rozier? Like, why is he falling off like this? And, seeing stuff like this come out, it just makes you scratch your head. And it's just dumb. To me, I think that you just have to be smarter. You know the rules; they're laid out clear as day by the NBA. I'm pretty sure that they're very strict and clear guidelines behind sports betting. So why then would you put yourself in a situation like that? Why would you put your family in a situation like this, embarrassing your family, embarrassing your name? Like this by doing something so idiotic. I just don't understand it. I just think that whatever punishment that they do receive, it is due. Because again, the rules, what is legal, and how can you be a coach involving yourself in something like this against your own team? How can you be a player and being on the court and illegally, shaving points? Right. But this is the reality. These things have been happening for a very, very long time. Right. I don't think that this is anything that's new. And again, this is sports. We all know how things there's been players in the past that have been, they've shaved points. They've done a lot of things. Right. But, shout out to them cracking down on this. Right. And I am interested to see what happens when they actually reveal the rest of the players, because who knows who else is involved in this, right? I've seen other names come up. I've seen Kevin Garnett. I've seen a few other names, come up to where people utilize, LeBron James's injury status to benefit and stuff like that. So again, we'll continue to follow this as news continues to come out about it. But definitely wanted to get you guys up to speed and caught up if you have not, been following this situation, and we'll continue to follow it closely. And I will continue to keep you guys updated as I, know more information. So with that, man, definitely want to transition here and talk about college football, because there was a situation that happened with the SEC referee that I did want to bring up, because I mentioned this on my show a couple of weeks ago. There was a SEC referee that was suspended from the UGA and Auburn game that took place. Now, again, if you guys don't remember me coming out and a lot, and it's not just me publicly scrutinizing the referees from that Auburn and Georgia game for the horrible performance that they had when it came to officiating that football game. I mean, there was just some things that just are not okay, right? And so with that being said, the SEC actually went ahead and suspended longtime referee Ken Williamson for the remainder of the season. So this is after, again, that performance by his crew on October 11th, Georgia at Auburn. Georgia ended up getting the 20-10 victory. But again, there was situations throughout this game that just really, as a fan, was frustrating. And again, I'm not a fan of either one of these teams. I'm an Alabama guy. I'm an Alabama alum. Of course, Georgia, their fans talk a lot when it comes to playing Alabama, but we all know, what happens when we play Georgia. And then Auburn is an in-state rival, right? Like we always will hate Auburn. But again, as a fan of the game, watching that, regardless of if I'm an Auburn fan or I mean, if I like Auburn or like Georgia or anything like that, it's just there's just some things that you just don't do. And that referee crew was absolutely horrible. I mean, we're going back to, again, like I mentioned before, Jackson Arnold at the goal line. You can see the tip of the ball hit the goal line, which would signify a touchdown. But the ball ended up coming loose. They go back and spend 20 minutes replaying this, taking all the time in the world, but you can clearly see the ball break the plane. The tip of the ball, all it has to do is hit the white line. And that's what it did as it was coming loose. That's a touchdown, right? So they actually reversed that. They gave the ball to Georgia. So instead of Auburn going up 17-0 going into halftime, Georgia gets the ball. They drive it down the field and they kick a field goal. So what would have been a 17-0 deficit ended up only being a 7-point deficit. You go into halftime 10-3. Auburn was just not, and that really was kind of like the story of the game, because Auburn just was not able to recover from that. Right. So again, that was the 10 points were the only points that they scored in the first half. And you come out in the second half and you give up 17 unanswered. It's they couldn't overcome that. Right. And then there was another situation where Kirby is running down the sidelines and signaling for a timeout because the play clock was running out, and it was third down from them. The referees then go to to charge him the timeout. He's arguing with the referees and crying, saying that he was clapping, and he was not calling a timeout. He was trying to tell them that they were clapping, which was a flat out bold-faced lie by Kirby Smart. Can't believe that they actually went back and awarded him actually removed the timeout that they charged him, and then reset the play clock so that they got an opportunity to get the play off. It was just absolutely awful, right? Now, again, Williamson, he was a crew chief in the game. He did tell SEC officials prior to the opening game of the season that he was going to retire after the season. So they actually ended up, again, with them suspending him this early, like sent him into retirement, a lot earlier than obviously what he was expecting. But those controversial calls, two of those controversial calls, that was just and that wasn't the only controversial thing that happened. There were a couple things on both sides that happened throughout the game. Now there was a longtime NFL official that came out um, and spoke out against this decision. His name is Terry McAulay. So he is again a longtime NFL official. He is a former coordinator of football officials for the Big East and the American Athletic Conference. He actually told ESPN that he believed that this punishment was too severe, right? And I want to read the quote that he gave in a statement. He said that, I think this does set a very dangerous precedent, right? He said, who now works as he's now a rules analyst for NBC Sports. So again, he said, I think this does set a very dangerous precedent. I mean, it's basically succumbing to the masses who want every official's head on a post after a difficult loss where there were maybe some controversial calls. He says, I know the world doesn't think that they're accountable, but they certainly are. They work the whole season for postseason assignments. And when they have situations like this, they don't get postseason assignments, right? And then sometimes they're not renewed. So he said if they felt that, and just to paraphrase, he said if he felt that this was to the level of a punishment, they could have done a lesser punishment than suspending him for the entire season. Now, I will agree that I do think that, there obviously did need to be a punishment. I'm not going to sit up here and say that, he should have been suspended for the remainder of the season. But I do applaud the SEC for taking a stand and saying, look, we cannot tolerate this. This is not going to be something that we're going to allow to continue. And they unfortunately had to utilize him as an example. And, again, with him being on the verge of retirement, I still thought, he didn't have to get suspended maybe for the remainder of the season, maybe a few games, 2 or 3 games or so. But again, that's above my head. But one thing I will applaud is the SEC actually stepping up and taking a stance, because, a lot of these other conferences, even the SEC for a while, there were no punishments happening, like that. I mean, people look at these games and say, look, that was horribly officiated. And then you see the referees, come out and make a statement. Same thing happens in the NFL, right? Referees blow calls all the time. Obvious pass interference calls, obvious holding calls, fumbles that are not ruled fumbles, right? Things that are just egregious. And they come out and make a statement as if that statement after the game is going to change the result of the game. And that's just not the case, right? And if you're willing to come out and say, oh, we made a mistake and we missed this call, that's what the replay is for. Why not utilize the time that you're taking to put these statements out after the game to tell us that you're missing calls, to actually review in real time, because they give you replay for a reason, right? Review in real time, look at this replay, and actually make the correct call. That's why you have replay assist. So again, I just, you get tired of it, and you as a fan, that's not going to get the win back. As a team, that's not going to get a win back when you blow. And referees are not 100% the reason why teams lose games. There's other factors that happen, right? We never want to put, as a team, you never want to put yourself in a position to have the referee be the one that's deciding the game for you, right? Because there's things that you could do prior to that would have, impacted the result. Okay. But referees do have a big hand in, how games go. That's just the reality of it. Right. So again, shout out to the SEC for actually stepping up and taking a stance against this. I do think that maybe the suspension for the rest of the season, a little bit harsh. But unfortunately, it is what it is. So with that, man, want to move on and talk about the World Series, man, because we have a big game tonight, man. Game 6 of the World Series. The Toronto Blue Jays actually are leading this series 3-2. So I want to quickly do a recap of Game 5 because this series has been great. I didn't get a chance to talk about it, being that I missed missed last week, but and I'm not just saying this because of the way the series is now. When I recorded that episode, I had said that I was picking the Blue Jays to win this series because they were the underdog in the series. So I had said, I picked the Blue Jays in 7. There's an opportunity for this to end back in Toronto tonight. So we'll see. But just to catch you guys up again, the Blue Jays won Game 5 to take this 3-2 series lead. So they won Game 5 6-1 in Los Angeles. So big win for this team because with the Dodgers actually still in Game 2, they needed to get this game to get that, flip that advantage back. Now, the interesting thing about this game tonight is this is Game 6 in Toronto, what they call the 6. So if you're a Drake fan, I'm a huge Drake fan. Drake is that's my guy. That's the GOAT. To me, you can argue with me all day long, but look, Drake is the GOAT. But Toronto is referred to as the 6. And so you got Game 6 in the 6 tonight, man. So we'll see if Toronto can actually pull this off and win this tonight. That'd be huge. But let's talk about Game 5, man, because again, I do want to run down Game 5 and unpack that victory a little bit more. So Yay Savage, man, pitcher for the Blue Jays, man, he strikes out 12 Dodgers. He's a rookie, man. Yay Savage for the Blue Jays, a rookie pitcher, Yay Savage. He literally had Dodger Stadium shook, and I mean, 12 strikeouts as a rookie in a World Series game is insane, right? So he was a huge X factor in why they were able to win that game. So just want to kind of run down the innings and let you guys know how that game went. And then we're going to talk about my X factors for tonight in this pivotal Game 6 to see, what's going to determine, who's going to get this win. So again, in the first inning, Schneider actually for the Blue Jays actually homered to put the Blue Jays up 1-0. And then after that, you had Vladimir Guerrero Jr. He actually hit a home run too. So yeah, he had back-to-back home runs to start off this game. And I think there was a record behind that. I want to say it was like the first time there was like back-to-back home runs in a while. I don't want to say that's never happened, but I think it's been some years since it happened. But they did set a record right there with those back-to-back home runs to start off Game 5. So what a way to on the road to silence the crowd and take the air out of the stadium, going up 2-0 in the first inning. But we all know it's baseball. So baseball it's a long way to go outside of the first inning. So come back in the bottom of the third. Then Hernandez for the Dodgers, he actually homered, so that brought that lead to 2-1. At the top of the fourth, Clement actually hit a sacrifice fly for the Blue Jays, so they went up 3-1, so they increased their lead there. Top of the seventh, another big inning for the Toronto Blue Jays. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. walked. Barger actually scored, and there was a wild pitch that was thrown, so they ended up going up 4-1. There was another single that happened by Bichetti to put the Blue Jays up 5-1, so they extended their lead late in this one, again, in the seventh inning. That's the seventh inning stretch. So, again, getting those 2 runs really helped them out. And then last but not least, man, there was a single by Kenner Falfa to increase that lead in the top of the eighth to 6-1. And after that, man, the Dodgers just couldn't recover. And the Blue Jays were able to seal the deal there. Now, game 6, right? Let's talk about some X factors for X factor for the Dodgers, and I'm going to talk about an X factor for the Toronto Blue Jays. Again, these were my X factors before this series even started, right? When they announced this, and started to do my research and everything, and I said, look, these are the two clear X factors, right? So for the Los Angeles Dodgers, man, you got Shohei Ohtani, right? So in the postseason so far, this is not including the World Series just yet, but in the postseason, Ohtani, he's batting at a .220 batting average, right? And he has 9 hits and 5 home runs, 9 RBIs in 10 games. So that was 10 games in the postseason. And then actually on the mound as a pitcher, he also was 2-0 with a 2.25 ERA and 12 strikeouts in 12 innings, right? Pitched. So that's Shohei Ohtani. Now you look at, with even further in those postseason stats, he's actually second in home runs with 5, and then he's fourth in RBIs with 9 RBIs. So now looking at Shohei Ohtani in the World Series, so let's shift gears and talk about how he's performed in the World Series. So he has a .258 batting average with 8 hits, 3 home runs, 5 RBIs, and 7 runs scored in 8 games, right? So huge numbers. I mean, Ohtani is dude is going crazy. I mean, when you got a guy like this who can not only pitch well but can also hit well, that's hard, right? Because historically, the pitcher is always known as the one that's supposed to be the easy out, right? But Ohtani is shattering that and saying, look, I can pitch and I can hit, right? So he also pitched in one game. Again, he gave up the go-ahead home run in the 3rd inning of game 4, right? So he did retire 11 of the next 12 hitters that he faced in that game. So, that's how he's performed in the World Series so far. So again, looking at Ohtani, obviously he's going to be a huge X factor. But I want to bring this up as well because if I'm the Toronto Blue Jays, right, I'm taking Ohtani out of the game. And what do I mean by taking Ohtani out of the game? I'm not pitching to him. He gets up to the plate, I'll take my chances walking him, right? Because you don't want him to get hot. If he's seeing the baseball and he is feeling good and then he's pitching good, and I don't know if he's starting to. I would assume that he's getting the ball to pitch tonight. But I'll verify that as I'm talking to you guys now. But when you have a guy like Shohei Ohtani who can do both of those things and do them really well, I'm taking him out of the game. And I'm not pitching to him. I'm just not going to do it because I'm not going to allow him to be the one to win this game because he can very well. We've seen it. We saw him against the Brewers. He hit 3 home runs. I mean, and it's just crazy, right? Now I haven't seen them announce who actually is getting the ball to pitch just yet. So we will continue to follow that. But this reason why he might have pitched last game because he's probably needs some rest, but I mean he's still going to be hitting regardless. So I do think that looking at this game again, clear X factor, Shohei Ohtani for the Los Angeles Dodgers. Now let's talk about X factor for the Toronto Blue Jays, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. Okay. So let's look at him in the postseason in 2025 so far. So he had a batting average of .442 with 6 home runs, 12 RBIs in 11 games. Okay. Remarkable performance, right? He also included in this performance a .510 on base percentage and a 1.440 on base slugging percentage. So crazy numbers, right? That Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is putting up. Okay. Let's look at what he's done and where he ranks in the postseason. So he's second in batting average. He's first in home runs with 6, first in RBIs with 12, first in hits with 19. So that's all in the postseason, right? Crazy numbers, right? So let's look at what he's doing in the World Series, okay? So in the World Series, he has a .368 batting average right now. He did hit a crucial home run. I mentioned a home run that Shohei Ohtani gave up in Game 4. That was to Vladimir Guerrero Jr., okay? So that was his 10th extra base hit of the postseason, okay? And he's been a key player for the Toronto Blue Jays, right? The entire season, especially in the postseason, okay? His timely hitting is just it's just that. It's timely, okay? And that's what you need, especially if you want to win a World Series, man. You need that timely hitting, right? Who's going to get on base? Who's going to bring uh, batters home, right? And so, you know, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is that guy, okay? He's not afraid of the moment. So, you know, looking at both of these guys, man, that's who I have my eyes on, you know, in this game, in this matchup. And I'm going to go ahead and make my prediction. Like I said, I said Blue Jays in 7 before this series started. But I'm going to go, you know, Blue Jays to win this thing tonight, man, and keep it at home and win this World Series, man. I'm rocking with the Blue Jays. And look, it's exciting to see new teams win. And the Blue Jays were the underdog. I typically always go for the underdog anyway when it comes to championships in any sport. Most of the time I'm going for the underdog, depending on who it is. But nine times out of 10, I'm going with the underdog. So yeah, man, I'm excited to see what happens, and we will I'll keep you guys updated, man, as always. But before we move to our next topic, man, you guys are listening to the Lace Up Sports Talk Show right here on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Audio Boom, and again, like I said, YouTube, man. Got my shows here on YouTube, so make sure, again, you hit that subscribe button below. Make sure you are staying up to date when new shows are being posted whenever I go live. The only way to do that is make sure you subscribe. And please, if you don't mind, tell a friend to tell a friend. And I meant to mention this earlier, make sure you leave comments in that comment section, man. Always welcoming any insight, any feedback that you have. Hit me on the side, whatever it may be. Want you guys to be involved in this as much as possible because I'm doing this for you guys. I'm doing this for myself, but I'm also doing it for y'all. Love to bring you guys good content, man. And again, I welcome any feedback, any comments, anything you want to hear on the show, anything that you want me to make mention of, man. I will be sure to incorporate that into future episodes. So with that being said, man, let's take a look at the college football rankings, man. I always like to update you guys on what the AP top 25 rankings are. And I also wanted to kind of break down a couple of games to give my predictions for tomorrow, for tomorrow's matchup. So the AP top 25 as it stands right now, you have, no real changes at the top 4, Ohio State, Indiana, Texas A&M, and Alabama. So they remain as the top 4. And you got Georgia, really the top 6 stayed the same. So Georgia at 5, Oregon at 6, right? So after that, you had Ole Miss. They had a big win on the road. They moved up to number 7. You had Georgia Tech move down 1 spot to number 8. Vanderbilt moved up to number 9, 1 spot. BYU and Miami are tied for the 10th spot, which is interesting. They have BYU ahead of Miami, so I think BYU is 10A and Miami's 10B. But right now they have them tied for 10. But just to kind of recap what happened on last weekend, man, Bama, huge comeback win on the road against South Carolina. And what we as Alabama fans all saw is like another one of those, trap games. You come off of a big win, and then you have to go on the road. Big win against Tennessee, and then you go on the road against South Carolina. They were down 22-14 earlier in the fourth quarter, but the Tide were able to rally in the fourth quarter, man, able to put together a nice touchdown drive with their backs against the wall, get the 2-point conversion, excellent play calling by Ryan Grubb, and we're able to get a huge turnover. Shout out to Deontay Lawson stripping Lenore Sellers. And look, funny thing about it is, Tim Keenan was actually laying on top of the ball and didn't even know he was on the ball. But Deontay Lawson heads up play, letting them know, look, the ball's under you. So Bama was able to cover that up. We're driving. And I'm saying to myself, look, I don't want us to put this up to the field goal kicker to kick this, because we all know what happens when it comes to kickers. So Jeremy Bernard actually took a direct snap, kind of fake pitched it to Ty Simpson, got around the corner, had a couple of blockers, was able to get up the sidelines. With the South Carolina avoided tackling him because obviously they wanted the ball back, which I'm glad that Jeremy Bernard actually ended up going ahead and scoring, because I wanted a touchdown, not a field goal. So again, shout out to Alabama, man. And when you got a team like that can, every game is not going to be pretty. You're going to have some ugly wins. But one thing I will say about this Alabama team is they have grit, they fight, they claw, they scratch, and backs against the wall, man. When they need it, when plays are need to be made, they make plays, right? And that's what you want. That's championship DNA, and that was a championship type of win, right? You want that type of mentality that no matter what happens in this game, we're not out of it until the clock hits zero. So shout out to the Tide, man. Roll Tide. Looking forward to being able to relax tomorrow, because we have a bye week before LSU comes in town on next week. So get a chance to kind of relax and watch other people stress. Look, other points that I wanted to bring up, man. Texas A&M, huge blowout win, right, on the road against LSU, man. Getting Brian Kelly fired, got Brian Kelly up out of there. LSU has parted ways with him. They are sick and tired of it, right? Look, Texas A&M obviously looking like a very, very, very good football team, which we can all agree that they are. And I think that, A&M and Alabama, the two best teams in the SEC right now, and could potentially see, them in the SEC championship game. Who knows, right? That's the way that things are trending right now. So we'll open and see what happens. But again, huge road win, 49-25 against LSU. Ole Miss, they pulled out a thriller against Oklahoma on the road, and in that game, actually, Oklahoma actually took the lead pretty briefly, and then Ole Miss was able to come back and take the lead. But that was huge win for Lane Kiffin, especially after blowing a lead against Georgia. Did kind of for whatever reason, they kind of just got out of their element offensively and just got stagnant. But that just Georgia had those guys, they just had them shook, so they weren't able to kind of overcome once the momentum changed, and once the momentum switched, I should say. Now, one thing I do want to bring up, before this, shout out to Georgia Tech, another call out. Georgia Tech still undefeated. I don't even know the last time. I don't even think I've ever seen Georgia Tech at 8-0, and I'm 33 years old, so I don't even remember. And I'm not saying that it hadn't happened when I was like a kid, but when I started watching college football, I don't remember Georgia Tech being 8-0. So shout out to them, man. And other observations, man. Looking at it, I heard this comment. I wanted to quickly give my opinion on this, because there are people that are saying that there's this big gap between Ohio State and everyone else, right? And I disagree with that, right? I think Alabama, Texas A&M, they could take Ohio State any day of the week, right? I know they have talent, Julian Sand, Jeremiah Smith, those guys, that they got a good defense, but who is Ohio State played? I mean, your best win is 14-7 against Texas, and I get it. Texas was number one at the time, which they preseason number one. It was. I still scratch my head at that, because Arch hadn't played a down as a starter against competition, so. He stepped in when Ewers was injured, but it was against some, inferior opponents. But that's your best win, and Texas is sitting at number 20 right now. And so, again, they are a really good team, and I'm not trying to discredit what they're doing, but at some point, we have to look at who you played and who you beat, right? And they beat Texas. Texas is a solid win, but again, Ohio State doesn't necessarily, they don't scare me, right? Jeremiah Smith can take the top off of any defense, right? But um, I'm just not fearful of an Ohio State. I'm not. They don't scare me. Indiana, another team, does not scare me. Yeah, they got a win over an impressive win, number 3 Oregon on the road, right? But Indiana and their fans are shouting, we want Bama. No, you don't. I pray for a scenario where Indiana and Alabama have to meet in the playoffs. I pray it happens. God, please, please, because one thing that these guys in the Big Ten, man, they've gotten beside themselves. They had 2, good years. They won a national championship, with Michigan and Ohio State, and now they feel like they're just, the unstoppable conference. They're the best. Nah, the SEC is a deeper conference. You guys may have the top 2 spots right now, but the SEC is a deeper conference for sure. And so, I'm just not fearful of Ohio State and Indiana, right? So that's just my thoughts on that. But we'll look. These rankings are going to continue to shake up, and I want to say we have the first official college football rankings that are coming up. I want to say next Tuesday, if I'm not mistaken. Do some more research on that, but I know that they're coming soon, if not next week, where we will know who are the actual, the official rankings according to the College Football Playoff Committee. So with that, man, I want to dive into some games that I'll be having my eye on this weekend. Just a couple of games, two SEC matchups. I'm an SEC guy, man. So look, definitely going to talk about the SEC. I talk about other conferences too, but just this time of the year, man, these matchups in the SEC are just getting crazier and crazier because a lot of them have, and could potentially have playoff implications, right? And I'm not saying no other conference does, but these are the ones that definitely want to pay attention to, right? So you got number 9 Vandy going on the road to number 20 Texas, okay? So Texas is actually a 3.5 point favorite in this. The over under in this matchup is 45.5 points. Texas, they rank 20th in defense on third down percentage. They do allow opponents to convert on 31.5% of their third downs. Texas is also 13th in the country with a +7 turnover margin. Okay. Both teams are very heavily penalized, so that's gonna, be something to watch in this matchup. Who is going to be able to play clean football, and in addition to that, Vanderbilt actually ranks 117th with a 65.8 average, right? So 68 yards penalized per game. 65 penalty yards per game. So they both are being penalized for the pretty much the same amount of yards per game, right? So over 60 yards. So definitely got to clean that up. And so that's one thing to watch. Now Vandy is 3rd in the SEC in rushing yards per game. So they're actually rushing about 203 yards a game. On the other end of that, Texas, they're allowing the 3rd most yards per game in the SEC at 300. But they're also 3rd in the SEC in sacks. Okay. So I do think Texas does have the edge at home. But I do think Vandy will be able to run the ball and control the clock. I think that they will be able to make this a tight game, being that they're able to run the ball. I think Pavia is going to be able to make some plays with his feet to extend some drives. And again, with that solid run game that they have with that 1-2 punch at running back, I think that's going to be the difference in them being able to really control this game and slow it down, because Vandy is a team that the long methodical drives, right? That's something that they specialize in. And so I think that the ability to run the football is going to allow them it's going to open up the pass for them. I do think that this is going to be a tight game, right? I think that Texas being at home is going to help. But ultimately, you have to be able to run the football, especially at this point in the season. And I just think that Vandy it does a really good job of that in controlling time of possession. And so With that, I'm going to pick Vandy to win this game. Now, my best friend PJ, he's not going to like that, man, because he's a diehard Texas fan. He's hook 'em horns all day long. But, I got to go with Vandy on this one, man. My bad, bro. But that's my pick, man. If y'all win, shout out to you. But I'm rolling with Vandy. And on top of that, man, it makes Bama's resume look even better, right? Because we beat that Vandy team, and they're number 9 in the country right now. So, another little reason to keep rooting for Vandy. Next game, man, I'm going to be watching number 5 Georgia against Florida. Okay, so again, this is the largest cocktail party and yada yada yada. They always hype it up, and typically it always ends up being a snooze fest, right? But UGA in this game, 7.5-point favorite. The over under is 50.5. Again, Georgia, they've won 4 in a row. 7 of 8 of these on a neutral site series that's played in Jacksonville. Only one of those 8 games was even close, and that was a 24-17 victory back in 2019. And so, Florida, you look at them. They just fired their coach, Billy Napier. After last game, they won 23-21, but they still, we all knew that the writing was on the wall for Bill Napier. And so, now they have their interim coach, Billy Gonzalez. He's going to be taking over. He didn't make any staff changes since being elevated up as the interim coach. So they will have the same staff minus Bill Napier. So another thing with Florida that's going to be, a big blow in this game, they're down 2 of their best receivers, Vernell Brown III and Aiden Mizell. So that's going to be a huge blow to them. They were both ruled out on Wednesday, and so they have a couple of freshmen that'll have to step up and fill in that void. But they still have DJ Lagway. They still have him. So, if you don't remember last year, Florida was actually rolling pretty well and against Florida. And then DJ Lagway gets hurt, and so that didn't go too well for them, and they just weren't able to recover for that. But before that, man, I thought that Florida kind of had Georgia on not, I'm gonna say on the ropes, because I think he got hurt in the early in the third quarter, if I'm not mistaken. So, but let's look at Georgia. They're last in the SEC with 8 sacks. Okay. So the first time that they set in the bottom of the SEC in any defensive category, right? So they don't get a lot of sacks, okay? And they're also 14th in third down defense, right? In the SEC. So and they're 12th in pass defense. So there are plays to be made against this Georgia defense. This is the ultimate trap game for them. You see a team like Florida who seems to be beat down, right? They just fired their head coach. They just lost a couple of their best wide receivers for this game. So they have some freshmen that have to step up. And so obviously, I think that, you see something like that happen as a player, you kind of begin to overlook this opponent, right? So that's why this is considered a trap game in my eyes, okay? And so I think Florida comes out, right, and they play some inspired football, right? I think they keep this game close. I think that, with DJ Lagway back and him, playing, some good football, we saw what this team could do, right? They have a solid running back. They can make some plays. Now, having those receivers out is going to be tough, but I think there's plays to be made against this Georgia defense. We've seen it. We saw them give up 40 points to Ole Miss. We saw how Ty Simpson picked these guys apart as well, and there's just plays to be made, okay? Now, defensively, they're going to have to make sure that they're able to contain Georgia's running game, because that's their bread and butter. That's the strength of their team, and also be able to disrupt Gunnar Stockton, man, when he drops back to pass. But with that, man, I'm picking Florida for the upset, man. Let's go, baby. I am picking Florida. I don't care if you're looking at me crazy right now. I'm picking Florida because this is the ultimate trap game for Georgia. This is the ultimate trap game. And look, I can see it now. They're overlooking this opponent. And I just wouldn't do that if I was Georgia, okay? I think DJ Lagway could be the difference in this game. Okay, and I think that Florida is going to play some inspired football, and look, we'll see what happens, man. But with that, man, that's all I got for you guys, man. I appreciate you guys rocking with me, tuning into this episode, and I hope everybody has a great time tonight with Halloween, man. If you're staying in, have a great time passing out candy. If you have kids and you're taking them out to trick or treat, have a great time with that, man. Everybody be safe. I don't know what you guys are dressing up as for Halloween, but me and my girlfriend, we're going to be ninjas tonight. So be on the lookout for pictures there. My brother's actually going to be Jason. And then my best friend, he is actually, I think he's dressed up as Joe Dirt. So look, I'm excited about this evening, man. And I hope you guys have a blessed weekend, man. Enjoy, be safe. And look, until next time, man, I'm out. Peace. And as always, roll tide.